Alright guys, I'm going to start you off in this right here. I don't know how well you can see. I got the actual oil cooler part off. This is just the housing for the oil filter. There's a shaft that goes through it that you put an Allen wrench in and you back it out. I'll show you all that in a minute. Alright, so there's a bolt right there. That's the only one on that side. The oil cooler goes in the way and actually partially covers that bolt. So I couldn't just get in here. I'm sorry the phone ain't focusing. The light is just crazy. I'd have to try to figure out how to block all that out. But yeah, that top bolt, the only bolt on the right hand side, I couldn't get to because it covers it with the cooler. And now I'm sure if I drop the K member, I can get back there with an open box wrench. But I wanted to go ahead and get this done and see what I was looking at. Now I'll show you the cooler part in just a second, but you do have to take that off. There's 3 bolts on that side, one on that side. It's a 10mm. You have to unhook the electrical connection right there for your fuel pressure, and that's about it as far as getting that down. The gasket that is leaking is behind this unit right here because it was leaking from that area.
Right, so this is the actual cooler. Now this is the part where the radiator hose goes on. Now if you turn it back, see that big hole? That's where the O-ring and the stuff on the back side goes. It pops into there. Now, you see the oil passages there. But like I said, the coolant comes in, circles around, and then leaves out through the block. I'm gonna get this all cleaned up. There's a gasket right there. Like I said, the rubber one there, and then there's one on the shaft. Now I want to do some research and make sure that there's only supposed to be one on the shaft, because it looks like a spot right here for a gasket. Maybe here, but this is the only one that was on the whole thing when I took it out. I don't know the history of this car that well, but it is Allen spline in the end. This goes all the way through this and into the other housing, and that's what holds it together. Now you can see I can't push that through right now because that gasket is really tight, so that stops the mixture of stuff. I don't know how well you can see it, my fingers on the end, but that's how it goes through, just like that. So get an Allen, screw it out, pop that loose. It might be a little tough. Like I said, I don't know how old any of this is. It could be 23 years old, it could be 2 days old. I don't know with this car. Of course, it wouldn't be 2 days. It'd be at least 3 years. But show you get the point. This is how it's on the car. That's where the upper hose goes, and the other hose goes into the back. That little recess area, that's where the other bolt is. So you can't get a ratchet in there. You have to get a wrench. And the K member and all that's in the way. I mean, I'm sure if I fought it all day I could, but it's so much faster and easier just to pull this off. And you know, it's a good time to go ahead and replace these gaskets anyway. Like I said, 23 years old, you're asking for coolant to be leaking into your oil or vice versa. So we'll see. Alright, so guys, I got this carb cleaner, sprayed it all down, got some brushes, sprayed it, got this copper pad, so just clean it up the best I could. I did notice this X, and the only thing I know that comes with X's on it is from a junkyard, so I'm almost wondering if my car did not come stock with this and someone put it on when they got it. Like I said, I know the car used to be supercharged, so no telling. Alright guys, got the housing assembly off. Like I just pointed out, it's just the 10mm bolts. There's 4 total. This is the coolant passages or the oil passages. So it's on the block like that. So it was leaking from this area, which is the bolt right here. You've seen it leaking out. Picked it up to clean it, and this is just, it's so brittle it's falling apart in my hand. So when I first took it out, I couldn't see where the rubber might be leaking, even though it is completely flat and it's supposed to be raised. I don't know, see, you can see that's raised, and that's completely flat. Pretty, you know, you get one little thing, but it's not raised like that. Anyway, I was trying to clean it off so I could see if I could figure out where the leak was coming from, and it just started falling apart in my hands. I mean, I'm just very little effort. This is the housing, and it would bolt up to the engine like this per se. So the oil cooler will go here. I'm going to get all this cleaned up. This is aluminum. The block is iron, so you can go a little bit rough on the block cleaning it, but you don't want to gouge this because you're going to run into more issues if you do. So I'm going to take some sandpaper, smooth it out, get it looking good, and go from there. Alright guys, I am losing daylight, but as you see, got it. This is where it was a little bit more pitted, but it's really smooth now. It's just got some discoloration. Apparently that dude just redlined for a good solid 30 seconds. But what I did is I took some 600 grit sandpaper and set it on something flat, and then I just took this, pretty much set it on the paper, and just kept going like that. Now the hard scale parts, use a copper scour pad. Don't use steel, because steel will gouge that. Copper is softer and it will not gouge this, so you can clean it up without messing it up. Here's how the unit looks, and it comes apart. I've only got one hand, so let me see if I can set this up. Alright guys, back here with the oil cooler. Now, I'm going to show y'all the proper way to do this. Or, okay, the way I do this. I've found nothing online for the internals of this, but there are seals inside of this. So what I did is, if you look, there's a space there. It's normally not that big, it's normally a little bit tighter, but I've already had this apart. You take a flat tip. Now I would put tape or something over this so it's not as harsh, but you go right in there and you just slowly pry it up. You just keep walking around and it'll come out. Now, I had people tell me it pushes out the back side. Well, to me, this is the side that sticks out, facing you. If it's facing me, I think that would be the front side. It does not come out the back side. The back side is one piece. It comes out the front. So when you put that in there and pry, you can get that out. I've heard these are a pain, but it really took minimum effort doing it that way. And that's what the inside looks like. There's a seal here, and then a seal here, which seals to the very bottom of this. You want to make sure this gets cleaned out the best you can so it can seal on the bottom. These seals, the water comes in through that hole, or comes in through this hole, comes around all these fins, and that's what cools this. Yes, this needs to be cleaned, but it goes all around that and then goes out that into the block. So that's, the oil travels through this, and that's how it cools the oil. Now, I do not know if this has to go a certain way in, so I just noted where that was when it came out, which was like this, where that hole was on the right hand side like that. So the reason I knew that is I looked through the holes and I lined up everything where it was to make sure that I knew. I also have points. When I first put it through, I put a screwdriver through and moved it to mark the point. You can see there. But this is really cool. It's marked 182. It's the part number, the patent. But these, that's the marks right there where I drove it. These are where I pried it, and that's why I said I would wrap this. Because when I went around, each time I pried, I left a mark. And I don't want to do that. These holes, that one there, and there, and there, they have to line up with these holes. And then this hole right here was partially lined up right here. So I don't know if that goes a specific way or not, but I haven't even found how to take these apart. So once you get it apart, there's that one, and that one. I know I've already discussed this, but You want to grease them up really good. Make sure this is really clean. And then you're just going to slide it back in. It's only secure by that O-ring. And it seals. That seals the water from leaking out. And that seals the oil. So all these seals are important, and they are going on 23 years old. So if you want a cooler, take the time to replace these seals. You can get a whole kit for $20 off of eBay, and I'll put a link in the description if I can think of it. Alright guys, got this all cleaned up. This is the adapter housing. Had a little bit of pitting there on the edge, but when I lay the gasket down where it needs to be, the pitting is still on the inside of the gasket there, so I don't think that's going to be an issue. Now you'll notice all the bolts that hold it in is all the same length. And remember, 3 go on one side. The best or easiest way when putting this on is go ahead and slide 2 bolts through to hold the gasket, and then put it up there and hand thread
all the bolts in there, just hand tighten.
I found that it's easier to get something that has a little bit of play in it. And like that top one, I go around these lines. Go around these lines. I'm sorry I can't get the best camera angle while holding that, but I can get it on that bolt really easy coming this way as I knock over the carb cleaner.
In there, you don't have to torque it down like crazy. I don't remember the exact measurements. I never really used a torque wrench. Shame on me. I really should. But you just need them snug. You don't like maybe a quarter turn, half past hand tight. The gasket itself is rubber, so it pushes back against it, so it kind of acts like a lock washer. But I don't know how well I can see that oil has been all the way through. It is dripping all the way back there from me driving, and the oil flow going that way, and it's the front of the transmission pan is covered with oil. I thought at first it was a rear main seal leak because I didn't see up here, but when I took off the inspection plate for the transmission, there was no oil in there. So if it's leaking from the rear main seal, it'll gather there and drop out. But it was coming from higher all around. So then I thought it was the oil pan gasket because of it was coming at the gasket level, but it turned out it was just leaking from here and walking around there. And I thought it would be weird to be, leaking there, but at the gasket at that location. But and guys, if you look, I don't know how well this is from the factory, but there's a glob of stuff here, and there's a glob up there. I don't know if the factory does that, but if they don't, I mean, somebody's been in the front timing cover before. Now, like I said, this car at one point was supercharged, so how awesome would it be to drop that oil pan and find some secrets in there, like some forged rods or something? That would be incredible. Not how my luck goes, but it would still be incredible. But the second part will be rebuilding that, and like I said, this video is going to come out just showing you how to take it apart, because a lot of people don't know. So take it apart. Them seals, is anybody that's replaced a O-ring knows how easy it is. You can just take a pick, walk it around, put it on. And then there's an O-ring that goes right there, and then a gasket that goes here. That rod goes through. There's a gasket on that shaft. Tighten it all down and put the oil filter on, and that's it. So I hope this explains enough. But nobody, not a single video I found online, discuss completely dismantling your oil cooler and looking at the insides. Oh guys, it's already started to sprinkle on me a little bit, but I hope this video at least shows you what's involved in that, because like I've said, I feel like I've said it too many times, but when I was looking for this, even the exploded charts didn't show that there was gaskets internal, but I knew there had to be, because it can leak internal and there's a weep hole, and if it can leak internal, that means it's repairable. And apparently Ford don't sell these gaskets.
I've heard people say you can go to Ford and they match them up, and they're like $20 a gasket, which I don't know. I just ordered a kit off of eBay, and it was $25, free shipping. So we'll see how that goes. I wanted to clarify real quick that not all cars have the oil cooler. They come stock on, I'm told 96 and 97 both had them stock. I'm told Cobra's had them stock. I don't really know. I know mine looks like it's got a marking on it where it's come out of a junkyard before. The X right there. There's oil in here, and I cleaned this out with water. Sprayed all this out with water and carb cleaner and stuff like that. But you want to make sure this gets fully dry. You don't want to run this with moisture in the oil coolant. So that's why I used the just using the gum out carb cleaner. Spray it in there really good. That'll help dry it out. I've already gone through 2 cans. But already got the other part bolted to the car. So as soon as the seals come in, like I said, there's 3 in here. There's one that goes in this lip, and then there's one that goes on the other side that's under the car for this to plug into. I do want to sand that down some more because that's a little rough. I want to make sure that's a nice smooth seal. That's pretty much all there is to it. It's fixing to rain here. Just got my engine brace in, but with my back being the way it is and the weather fixing to pour, I'm not going to set it up tonight, or today rather. But that will come for sure. So thank y'all for watching.
I won't turn around, I done made it this far. Look back now, that wouldn't be too smart. Shoot for the stars even when it gets hard. Put my faith in the Lord with these 16 bars. I won't turn around, I done made it this far. Look back now, that wouldn't be too smart. Shoot for the stars even when it gets hard. Put my faith in the Lord with these 16 bars. I won't turn around, I won't